All Nike did for that is just take a song everybody knows and just put in new words. No creativity involved at all.
40 years to the day, December 25th, 1985. Nike drops Michael Jordan's first Christmas commercial, the Air Jordan 1.
There's going to take a song that everybody knows, patty cake, whatever the fuck song that is, and they're just going to change some words and put Asia Wilson in there, okay? And then we have Caitlin Clark's commercial.
A moment that didn't just sell a shoe, it launched the most powerful athlete brand partnership in sports history. Chicago, December 25th, 2024. Nike releases From Anywhere, the Caitlin Clark campaign.
Imagine being one of the neighbors on this block, and you just turn to your right. Look at that car pulling up. Here we go. Pulling. Like, look at that car pulling up.
The parallel isn't subtle, and it isn't accidental. Nike does not accidentally mirror dates like this. When they line something up across 4 decades, they're telling you exactly what they believe and who they believe in.
Getting ready to turn into their driveway, and then out of nowhere they see a Nike van here, a Nike van there, commercial crew here, commercial crew there.
But here's the part nobody seems willing to say out loud.
Now, if you can tell that one of these commercials actually took thought, planning, and the other one just took, let's just slap this together because she threw a fit about her shoe not coming out in time. Let's just throw this shit together and push it out there.
Caitlin Clark wasn't the only Nike athlete to get a commercial this year.
Now, as you know, the Caitlin Clark commercial aired during the football games on Netflix, aired during the basketball games on ESPN, ABC. The Nike commercial came at the perfect time as far as Christmas release goes.
And when you put the two side by side, the difference isn't just noticeable, it's brutal. Let's slow this down and actually look at what Nike showed us.
As commercials they've dropped over the last 5 to 10 years, this Caitlin Clark From Anywhere campaign seems to be the most creative that Nike has been.
Aja Wilson's commercial takes a nursery rhyme that every human being on the planet already knows. Pat a cake, baker's man, changes a few words, overlays some basketball footage, and calls it a day. Aja Wilson, Don. That's the concept, that's the idea, that's the creative spine. There's nothing offensive about it, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing memorable. No campaign identity, no phrase that sticks, no visual metaphor that connects to what makes her special as a player. No reason for it to live beyond the 30-second spot. Now contrast that with From Anywhere. Caitlin Clark's commercial opens in a driveway, the exact kind of driveway where she spent her childhood launching shots until sunset. That choice alone tells you this wasn't slapped together. Someone sat in a room and asked, what actually defines her? Where does this story start? Then the cameos start appearing, and none of them are random. Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, Travis Scott, Michael Che from Saturday Night Live, Lisa Bluter, her college coach, Stephanie White, her current WNBA coach. These aren't celebrity for the sake of celebrity appearances. These are people who exist in Caitlin Clark's real orbit. She's been on the Kelce Brothers podcast. She appeared on SNL. Travis Scott is part of Nike's cultural ecosystem. The coaches matter because they anchor her credibility, her lineage, her continuity from college to the pros. The Easter eggs are everywhere. Her AAU team, the Attack, referenced visually. The boys' basketball team wearing Attack jerseys. Small details that reward fans who already know the story while still making sense to casual viewers. That kind of layering doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a brand believes an athlete is worth investing months of creative labor into. Think about the logistics alone. You're shutting down a residential street. You're coordinating Nike vans, lighting rigs, sound crews, permits. You're filming one of the most recognizable athletes in America in someone's driveway while neighbors peek through their blinds wondering why there's a production crew outside their house on Christmas week. That's not just production value, that's commitment. That's time, money, planning, and belief being allocated deliberately, not evenly. Nike wasn't just making a commercial here, they were making a declaration, a signal about hierarchy, about priority, about who gets the full Michael Jordan treatment and who, very clearly, does not. From Anywhere. That's the tagline, that's the spine of the entire campaign. It's short, clean, and instantly legible, but more importantly, it's inseparable from what Caitlin Clark represents as a player. Deep range that warps defensive spacing, a confidence level that ignores conventional shot selection, The implicit threat that the moment she crosses half court, the defense is already late. The phrase doesn't just describe her game, it explains why watching her feels different. Can you make it from here? From there? From anywhere? That question does real work. It invites fans into the fantasy. It dares them to try. It turns spectators into participants, which is the holy grail of modern marketing. When people start recreating your idea on TikTok, when the phrase becomes shorthand for a skill or a mindset, the campaign has escaped the confines of advertising and entered culture. That's marketing doing its job at the highest level. It doesn't just sell a product. It creates behavior. It creates language. It creates repetition that feels organic instead of forced. The brand doesn't have to shout because the audience carries the message for them. Now ask yourself a simple question. What's the tag from the Aja Wilson commercial? What's the phrase that sticks? What's the idea people are supposed to walk away with and repeat? There isn't one. There's no line fans are quoting. No concept people are remixing. No visual or verbal shorthand that lives beyond the runtime of the ad itself. It's Aja Wilson doing basketball things while a lightly altered nursery rhyme plays in the background. The moment the commercial ends, it evaporates. Nothing follows you out of the room. Nothing pulls you back in later. That difference matters because great advertising isn't about presence, it's about persistence. It's not enough to be seen once. You have to leave a residue in the public consciousness. You have to give people something they can carry forward, something that reappears in conversation, in memes, in imitation. Otherwise, you're just filling airtime. And this is where the timing becomes impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark's commercial drops on Christmas Day 2024, exactly 40 years after Michael Jordan's first Christmas Air Jordan commercial. That 1985 spot wasn't just festive branding. It featured Jordan, Chicago, Santa Claus, and the Air Jordan 1 in the now iconic band colorway. It didn't merely introduce a shoe, it introduced an era. It planted the seed for what would become the most powerful athlete-driven brand in sports history, a line that would eventually generate more than $5 billion in annual revenue. Nike is drawing a direct line here. Jordan to Clark, past to future, legacy to projection. This isn't subtle symbolism meant for marketing nerds to decode. This is a deliberate echo, placed on the calendar with surgical precision. That's not subtext, that's text. They're telling you exactly how they see Caitlin Clark's value to the company. They're telling you who they believe has the potential to anchor their brand narrative for the next decade. When a company like Nike chooses to reference its most sacred origin story, it's not nostalgia, it's forecasting. But there's a problem with the rollout. The commercial is exceptional. The hype is real. The cultural moment is happening in real time. Social media is reacting. Casual fans are paying attention, and there's nothing to buy. We're sitting in late December watching demand spike, watching people recreate the campaign, watching new audiences engage, and Caitlin Clark's signature shoe won't drop until late April or early May. That's 4 to 5 months between igniting desire and offering a product to capture it. In marketing terms, that's an eternity. Momentum cools, attention drifts, impulse fades. Nike did release some accompanying merchandise, which softens the blow, but the centerpiece, the signature shoe that this entire narrative is pointing toward, is missing at the exact moment when interest is at its peak. That gap doesn't undercut the message Nike is sending, but it does highlight just how confident they are in the long game. They're betting that the moment won't disappear, that the story will hold, and that when the shoe finally arrives, the audience will still be there waiting. Nike did release some apparel alongside the campaign, so this isn't a total fumble. But imagine the revenue left on the table by not having that shoe ready for Christmas morning. Imagine how many parents would have bought it, how many collectors, how many impulse purchases fueled purely by the moment. That delay doesn't erase the message of the commercial, but it does highlight how massive the belief is. Nike is willing to build the moment first and trust that the payoff will come later. And this brings us to creativity, what it actually means in modern advertising. The Caitlin Clark commercial isn't just well-produced, it's conceptually alive. It breaks from Nike's recent formula, which for the past 5 to 10 years has been painfully predictable. Athlete does athletic things, inspirational track plays, swoosh fades in, end scene. From Anywhere has humor. It has narrative. It has self-awareness. It has cultural fluency. And most importantly, it feels specific. Those cameos work because they belong. Michael Che works because Caitlin Clark was on SNL. The Kelsey brothers work because there's an existing relationship. Nothing feels bolted on. Now look back at Aja Wilson's spot. It feels like what you make when you need to deliver something by Friday and it's already Thursday afternoon. Take something familiar, tweak it slightly, shoot some footage, ship it. And to be clear, this is not an indictment of Aja Wilson as a player. She's a two-time MVP, a champion, one of the most dominant forces in the league on both ends of the floor. She has every resume credential you could possibly want. This is about Nike's creative investment. One athlete got months of planning, location scouting, celebrity coordination, a fully formed campaign concept, and a cultural hook designed to live beyond the commercial. The other got something that could have been produced in a week. That disparity tells you more than any press release ever could. Aja Wilson has been vocal about wanting her signature shoe released on schedule. She's earned that frustration. She's earned that demand. But Nike's response wasn't to elevate her creative treatment to the same level. It was to rush out a commercial that feels like a box-checking exercise. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's commercial aired during NFL games on Netflix, NBA games on ESPN and ABC, with maximum visibility Christmas Day placement and a 40-year Jordan callback. That isn't good luck. That's Nike making a statement about who they believe will drive their business into the next generation. And this is where the implications widen beyond one brand. If Nike, arguably the most powerful sports marketing company in the world, is willing to put this level of disparity on display between two of the WNBA's biggest stars, what message does that send to every other brand watching? Market value determines creative investment. Creative investment determines cultural impact. The From Anywhere campaign is already becoming a thing. People are recreating it. The phrase is sticking. That's what happens when you build something meant to travel, not just air. Nike isn't a charity. They invest where they expect return. The Caitlin Clark commercial cost more, required more effort, took more coordination, and Nike did it because they believe she'll sell shoes at a scale that justifies it. The Aja Wilson commercial cost less, required less, and delivered less impact. That's a business decision. But here's the problem for Nike. By making that disparity so visible, they've created a narrative issue. You can't claim equal investment while presenting wildly unequal output. You can't talk about growing women's basketball while clearly putting your chips on one player and hoping nobody notices. The optics are rough, even if the logic is sound. So what happens next? Caitlin Clark's shoe drops in late April or early May. By then, the commercial will have been circulating for months. If Nike executes correctly, that shoe release could be massive. But they've already left money on the table, and they've set a creative standard that every future WNBA commercial will now be judged against. And looming over all of this is the Jordan comparison. Michael Jordan's first Christmas commercial in 1985 launched a 40-year dynasty. The Air Jordan brand now generates billions annually. By choosing this date, this placement, and this level of creative effort, Nike is telling you they believe Caitlin Clark could be a once-in-a-generation athlete who reshapes their business. Time will decide whether that bet pays off. But one thing is already clear. When you put these two commercials side by side, there is no confusion about which athlete Nike believes is worth the full creative investment. And that decision, more than any stat line, award, or press quote, is going to shape the conversation around WNBA marketing for years to come. So here's the real question. Is Nike right to concentrate this level of investment in one athlete if the data supports it? Or should they be putting equal creative effort behind all of their WNBA stars, regardless of projected return? Because this conversation isn't going away, it's just getting started.